Interested in the pattern.
Patterns.
I'll say, don't use the word, tell me what, it's like, don't show me a bucket, dump it out and show me what's in it.
Yes,
okay?
great metaphor.
And so I say, tell me what the patterns are. And then once they start laying it out, I say, okay, here's what the pattern is. It makes you feel better to have a word, because I know sometimes they want to keep doing digging and doing research. But then we break down that pattern.
Dr. Ramani, someone comes to you, a patient, and they say, my husband is a sociopath. I am convinced. What's your first reaction?
I first of all, I hear this regularly, and I get heartbroken for them. Because what it means that they've been enduring is somebody who is likely verbally abusive or ignoring them, neglectful, lacks empathy, is cruel, is cold, is distant, is manipulative. Like, they use that one word, and it gives me some real insight into what they've been enduring. And by the time they pick up the phone and call me, it often means they've been enduring it for a while.
How severe do the symptoms of a sociopath become?
I mean, like all disorders, it's on a range, right? You know, I mean, it's not like there's one version. Obviously, in the milder levels, you're often talking about someone who's cold, angry, brooding, resentful, mean-spirited. You know, at the more extreme levels, you'll see violence manifested.
Yeah.
So obviously, at the more extreme levels, you're often talking about victims of more physical domestic violence. But I think even at the mild levels, it can look like emotional abuse.
What if somebody comes to you and they say, I heard this word sociopath, and I'm not really sure what it is, but I think my husband might be one. How can I tell?
I break it down for them because I think a lot of people use the word sociopath interchangeably with narcissistic.
Yeah.
And like I said, these are labels. I'm interested in the pattern.
Patterns.
I'll say, don't use the word, tell me what, it's like, don't show me a bucket, dump it out and show me what's in it.
Yes,
okay?
great metaphor.
And so I say, tell me what the patterns are. And then once they start laying it out, I say, okay, here's what the pattern is. It makes you feel better to have a word, because I know sometimes they want to keep doing digging and doing research. But then we break down that pattern. So when somebody is experiencing that, like I said, they're experiencing all those things, coldness, distance, manipulation, lying, all those things. And it almost doesn't matter whether it's a sociopath or a narcissist, neither pattern is that amenable to change, and neither pattern feels good.
So they dump out the bucket, and they're pulling out verbal abuse, coldness, all of those things that you mentioned.
Yeah.
Who cares what we call it?
Right.
This type of person is unlikely to change.
No, they're not going to change.
They're not going to
No,
change. So that leaves that person with two options.
Yeah, stay
Stay with it and deal with it, or get out.
And when I say they're not going to change, I say that very, as you can see, reflexively. Let's say you get that person who's like, okay, I never thought it would get to this point. You're leaving. Let me give this a shot. And they want to make a good faith attempt in therapy, and they're really owning it. And they get in there and they maybe make some minor changes. In some small percentage of cases, you might see that. Since most people out there and most people watching are not going to be the exception to the rule, I'm going with the idea if their partner is not endorsing any issues on their end, that they're responsible for any of this, then the likelihood of change is zero. You know, they have to be that acknowledgement of change. So assuming that that's what this person's like, they won't change, and when I bring it to their attention, they look at me like, you know, that's great. I'm not, you know, there's nothing wrong with me. This is you. And they'll often blame the person. So they'll say, you're an idiot. You're a fool. Maybe you're the one with a problem. Then they'll undergo a whole new litany of emotional abuse. So you're right. Their two options are to either get out or stay. And if they stay, to understand they're staying under conditions that really aren't going to shift that much.
But how able are we to unbiasedly tell a therapist how our significant other is?
No, I get it every day, 10 times a day. So people are, by the time, listen, you go into a therapist's office and you're paying good money, why would you lie?
I know, I'm not saying that they're lying. I'm saying if I say, all right, like my name's Jennifer and I have a husband named Paul, and I'm saying Paul is manipulative and cold and blah, blah, how accurate is that? Because maybe I'm just angry.
Okay, then in which case you're going to get your guidance from that perspective. And that's why it's great to work with couples, right? Because if you get to work with a couple, then you get to see both sides. Unfortunately, if Paul in fact is a sociopath, he's going to be manipulative. You know, so you have to be a really skilled therapist to sort of suss that out and smell that out. You'd be amazed how many clients pull out their phone and show me the text messages. And that's when I get a real sense of it. I see the emails.
This is so good.
Yeah.
I bet you people don't realize that they can even do that with a therapist.
They can't always. Some therapists, listen, when my clients come in, they might bring in old photo albums. I welcome all that. They show me the text messages. It helps. Your therapist, though, any of our viewers, your therapist may say no, and I don't ever want to impugn how another therapist works.
Okay.
So I'm not saying all of us will do that. I certainly will.
Okay.
Because because of the sheer number of clients I work with who have been in narcissistic or sociopathic or psychopathic relationships, it's really important to me to never gaslight my patients.
Yeah.
You know, maybe you're not telling me the truth. That's what the world has been telling this person for a while. Like, well, maybe it's not that bad. And they've been gaslighted by the world, and I refuse to be someone who does that. There's a reason this person picked up the phone, came to my office, spent the money to see me, and if it's to come in and say, I'm going to give you this sort of mythological version, and do I think sometimes clients do that? Absolutely, absolutely. And so then what's happening is, probably nothing is changing at home because I'm working in good faith. Mm-hmm. So at some point they're either going to stop coming because saying nothing you're doing is helping me. Mm-hmm. But I have to say that it is important for me to honor their truth. I'm a humanistic therapist, and that's my orientation, I'm a humanistic existential. And a big part of that is that your truth is what matters to me. And for some reason you're coming in here and saying this is your experience of this person. And it's not my place to doubt that. I just want to understand it.
If you like psychology and learning about mental health and want to learn more while meeting other people who are interested, explore your membership options using the link below this video or visit medcircle.com.
That is so good. I love the permission to bring evidence, is what I'll call it, to a therapist who's open for that.
You know why they do that though, Kyle? Sometimes people bring that in because they've been doubted by everyone, and they feel like they're losing their grip on reality. That's what gaslighting does to people. It tests your reality.
Yeah. And it could be going on for 20 years.
And sometimes to them, they've stopped trusting their own reality so much that they hand over the text messages because they don't think anyone will believe them. It's actually a rather heartbreaking gesture. I am not kidding you. I've had clients come in with boxes of stuff, and I mean, it's heartbreaking because I think, God, no one has been listening to this person, and they literally feel like they're losing their grip on reality, and that to me is devastating.
So Jennifer comes in. Mm-hmm. And she's irritated with her husband, Paul, because he's a sociopath. And you tell her, look, the evidence would suggest that he's a sociopath. But I would assume Jennifer didn't marry him when he was doing all those things.
Jennifer did. Here's the thing with these patterns: narcissism, sociopathy, psychopathy. These are long-standing patterns. Now, because of the charm, particularly we see in psychopathy and narcissism, they can often keep a lid on it long enough to get a ring on it, okay? Sociopathy tends to be a bit more sloppy. I'm not quite sure why people fall for that, but they do. Some people just desperately want to get married. And they're just sort of taking whatever person is in front of them, and they're like, okay, I guess I can work with this. And sometimes sociopaths don't tend to be as successful as psychopaths, but if that person maybe brings enough practical characteristics they can live with, they may be willing initially to overlook the rest. So no, these red flags were here from the jump.
Going back to a conversation we had previously in this series about being mindful and being aware and conscious. Because when you're mindful, aware, and conscious, you can hopefully see that Paul is exhibiting characteristics that maybe won't be good in a marriage. But people so easily go into denial and then get married thinking it'll get better. Well,
that's the biggest mistake a person can make. Nothing's going to get better once you're married. If anything, I put my good bet on things are probably going to get a little worse.
Yeah, I'll quote my father, who's not a therapist. He said, look, it better be so good by the time you get married, because it's only going to a little bit go down.
I mean, it's possible some things could get better with time, but I have to say that it is, you're absolutely right. And every single client I have ever worked with, man or woman, gay or straight, you name it, any culture, they have said they owned it. These signs were there all along, and if anything, they feel angry at themselves, they feel ashamed and embarrassed, humiliated. Why didn't I see this sooner? And they'll own it. family, tradition. They wanted to get married. They wanted to be a parent. They thought this person could take care of them. They felt bad for them because they had a bad childhood. Those are the reasons they get all the way in and like, we'll fix this. It's almost like, we'll get the house, and it's like a fixer-upper. We'll get the house and then we'll fix it.
Yeah.
Not a good idea.
I'll share a personal story. I had a 6-year relationship, broke up in therapy about it. We didn't break up in therapy, but I'm in my therapist's office reviewing the relationship. And I brought something up that happened in our first few weeks of dating. And that event occurred throughout our relationship. And I told my therapist, yeah, but I didn't know it was happening. He goes, yes, you did. You were in denial. I go, I wasn't in denial. I saw it happen in the beginning. He said that's not going to happen anymore. And I just didn't know it was happening. He goes, Kyle, you knew. You just chose not to see it. And I left his office angry because I go, who are you to tell me that I'm in denial? But then after a few weeks, I came back. I go, you were right. I was in denial. I saw it all along. I just chose to pretend like it wasn't there.
Or make rationalizations. I mean, the other pattern I see folks make is like, he's having a bad day at work. The kids are really noisy. His father's been really sick. Wait until we move by the new house. I mean, it never ends, right? Anyone can write those rationalizations. And while those things may be true as their causes of stress, that kind of bad behavior is unacceptable. Emotional abuse is unacceptable any day of the week.
Perfect. I want to stop it right there. That was so many great takeaways. And my big one was going to the therapist with evidence. Yeah, I've never done that, and I probably should have.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, but I warn folks that, you know, like before they show up to the therapist's office with like 5 boxes,
bringing a file cabinet
with 5 boxes of records, and they end up to open their phone. Their therapist may say, I only want to hear about your reality. They don't want the therapy to be punctured by outside realities. Like I said, I respect how other therapists work, given the nature of the populations I work with, that I must say it sometimes elucidates something, and it allows them to almost feel heard, and it normalizes things for them, because they'll sometimes say, I have to show you this because otherwise I feel like no one could believe something this outlandish. I say, I believe you. If this helps you, by all means. I'm just trying to give them a sense that I'm trying to help them feel sane and whole again.
Yes.
By whatever path possible.
Yes. Excellent.